So to answer this question, we're going to take it back to the game that you're actually playing here, which is a game of dissension and reascension. So the construct of this dimension is unique in that you have the opportunity to experience reality from a level of separation. You all wondered, what would it be like if we could have an existence in which we didn't remember that we are actually a part of everyone and everything? How would that change decisions? How would that change an experience? And so the game was set up. The construct of 3D was initialized. And this is a game of dissension and reascension, so you started with the knowingness that you were part of source energy and then came down here and forgot, and you are at the bottom right now on your way back up of remembering who and what you are. So most of you are feeling yourselves as being separate, and most of what goes on in the world, because it's not in front of you, you think that it's not real. You place a high value on the things that you can touch and the things that you see with your eyes as being real. There are many, many things that you cannot see or that you cannot touch that are real, but because of the game that you're playing, if you can't do that, then it must not be true. So that's a level that is also in there because it's not in your face, it is not in your reality, then you're not really certain that it's going on. And we'll be honest, a lot of what you're being told in the news is not actually happening. It is being manufactured, and you're being told a version of the story, as it were. So you've also got to start listening to yourselves and using your own discernment. Is this truth in alignment with me? A lot of what you're getting, you're gonna hear the answer, no, it's not. Why are you going to war? All right, if the excuses are there, check in. Does this resonate with me? Is this what I want to experience as my version of reality? Or would I like something else? And that's also about you beginning to learn how to verbalize that, not in a way of confrontation, but rather in a way of expressing and putting the focus on the higher frequency. You don't have to fight your government to say, we don't want to go to war. You don't have to fight for peace. It doesn't work that way. You hold thoughts and you are in alignment with peace. There are a number of reasons why many of you have on the surface appeared to be callous, and that is in part because you have shut down your heart centers, usually due to a tremendous lack of self-love or fear of hurt, blame, or shame. And because that part of you is closed off, it's very difficult for you to have compassion. Now, anyone who has gone through a death cycle has done so willingly. There is not a single being on the planet who has died who has not done everything that they wanted to do with the setup that they created for themselves on this planet. If there was something else that they wanted to do, we guarantee you they would have done it. How an individual goes through the death cycle, in other words, how they die, determines not only the vibrational experience for themselves, but it sets up those around them. So to give you an example, if you've got somebody who's 90 years old and they pass in their sleep, you say, ah, they lived a long life, good for them. It brings them peace and they can move on to the next stage. If it's somebody that happens to at the age of 20, you say, ah, and you feel and experience it differently. You say, they were too young, it shouldn't have happened. If somebody is murdered, that can set up the family members for revenge or lots of fear programming. All right, if it's a suicide, it can leave people feeling abandoned or feeling guilty. There are lots of things that can go on that set everybody else up. So it serves other beings in how this happens. So in other words, if you've got a lot of people who die through a war, it serves the rest of collective consciousness. It is their gift to collective consciousness to see that these programs are still running collectively, and that there is an opportunity to choose a new frequency, to release the fears, to release attachments and move up to a higher level of being. It's an opportunity. Most of you don't take it. Most of you will say, ah, they deserved it. You'll put yourself in victim-perpetrator mode. But when you can look at it as a point of service, It puts you in your heart center, and it allows you to process your own stuff. And that is also what we would encourage you to do, to start looking at these wars. What's the war really about? Is it about competition? Is it about control? And where do you play out issues about control and competition in your own life? Start clearing at the personal level, and that will help so that collectively you are not creating that scenario. There is no need, because what you pulse out is what you get back. When collectively you stop pulsing out the need for control or the need for competition, you don't see that in the reflection. You don't create wars. There isn't lack. All right, if you think there's not enough resources, there aren't enough natural resources to go around, so we've got to grab and take what we can, then that will be your version of reality. When you start working with the frequencies around lack within yourselves, what you will find is that collectively you're not going to have lack on the planet. Everyone's needs will be met. And this is a state that you're moving into, that you will no longer care about how your needs are going to get met. You all can't even begin to fathom this right now because you're not used to operating in an unconditional way on this planet. But what you will start to do as you move into a higher level of consciousness is to act out of service, do something that you love to do that will also benefit others. And when you have no sense of lack, your needs are always met. You know at the core of your being that whatever need you have, it will be created and generated because of the nature of the universal cycle and how reality is created. It's vastly different from where you are, but it is where you're going. But you've got to start by clearing your own stuff. It doesn't matter if the rest of the collective consciousness isn't ready to go there with you just yet. It doesn't mean that you are damned and condemned to experience pain and discomfort along with the rest of collective consciousness. You may experience joy, you may experience love, openness, connection, passion, excitement, all on your own. And then you are a way shower for others who may not be able to find that frequency within themselves readily. And it doesn't really matter what's going on around you. One of the affirmations we absolutely love and we give quite often is, I stand in peace in the midst of chaos. It doesn't really matter what's going around you. You can be in the most horrible scenario possible, but you can also be the being who is radiating tremendous amounts of joy and love that can transform everything around it if others decide they want to increase their frequency. And if they decide not to, that's all right too. It doesn't matter. It goes back to the idea of competition, that others have to match your frequency or somehow you are not going to be able to live and experience your frequency. No, it doesn't work that way. Not at all. So be the living example.